Well, Stateless is from co-creator and executive producer Cate Blanchett, who conceived the project over her kitchen table with her old high school friend, writer Elise McCready, who, after much research, wrote the series with Belinda Chaco. Blanchett says there was much passionate discussion about the global displacement crisis and the problems of the detention of refugees in Australia, and they were apparently taken with the unlikely true story of an Australian who erroneously ended up in an onshore detention camp. They pulled in their friend Tony Ayres, the creator of many innovative and classy shows, including Glitch. Then those clever directors, Emma Freeman and Jocelyn Moorhouse, came on board, along with cinematographer Bonnie Elliott, who's becoming increasingly popular with directors, not only for her persuasive visual style, but her empathetic approach with actors. The series looks at the notion of statelessness when people are driven from their homes by war and conflict, and the way they're so easily abused as they seek another country to find sanctuary. It seems to work overall as a kind of social melodrama, where the creators have looked for an overarching structure sufficiently commodious to accommodate a vast variety of exciting incidents and a plethora of characters, as well as the detailed examination of a major social institution, the Australian immigration system.
You see my family? There are places like this all over Australia. Why? Because we are terrorists.
We wanted it to be an aggregation of experiences so that we could talk about a system struggling to deal with the contradictions that it was facing, says Tony Ayres. But to do this while maintaining ongoing excitement and suspense is no simple task, and the first episode suffers from disparities in plotting that are somewhat annoying, and the juggling act not really coming off. But the creators of Stateless do give us the required sense of moralism this epic story of intersecting lives requires, and will probably, as the series continues, begin to show us the pleasure of the good and virtuous being rewarded and the hateful punished.
Do you reckon?
Oh, well, I hope so. I hope when it all comes together in the detention centre, it's all going to be really wonderfully melodramatic. And
yeah, it does deal with the immigration issue. And, you know, I think that side of the story is excellently told. It's not actually something we haven't already known about or experienced.
No, that's true.
But the other strand is of this disturbed young woman, played by Yvonne Strahovski, who I have no idea what's wrong with her family. Her mother's a bit of a dragon. The sister, played by Marta Dusseldorp, seems to be fine, but there's hatred within this woman for her family. And she escapes into this cult led by Cate Blanchett and with Dominic West.
I know.
So there are
playing this guru figure, a kind of cult leader.
Yes.
It's all a bit inexplicable and pretty implausible, I found. The gap from the Christmas party where the young woman attends, she's a flight attendant, she's just come back from Dubai, she talks about the wonderful time she's having with princes on camels, and all of a sudden she's a total nervous wreck, you know, in the pastoral care of Dominic West. It didn't make any sense at all to me psychologically.
It's certainly the weaker half of the story.
Yes.
There's a very impressive performance by Fayssal Bazzi, who plays Amir, who's the head of this family that's fleeing Afghanistan.
I think he's the strongest thing in this
yes,
certainly the first episode.
So do I.
He's got a real presence.
Yes. And the other strand is the immigration officer, played by Jai Courtney. And I actually think he's a really charismatic actor. And his story's fine too, because he's the good guy amongst these rather nasty immigration officers.
Well, all these stories obviously come together and collide in the detention centre itself.
I'm going to err on the side of generosity and give it 3.5 stars.
I'm going to give it 3.5 as well. I'll err as well, very much on the side of generosity. I couldn't stand the cult stuff, really.
You have not seen them? Yeah. Farid? Hey! You are here!
Tell us about your character, because that in the first episode, certainly that's the most significant for me. I thought those scenes were absolutely fantastic.
So Amir's bright and bubbly father of 2 daughters. His wife and his 2 daughters are trying to escape to come to Australia by boat. He was a teacher back in Afghanistan, so he's quite smart, and you start the series with him and his family in Indonesia trying to get to Australia.
there was obviously a personal connection for you. Your mother, I think, is Syrian, your father is Lebanese, and you came to Australia when you were 3. What was your background that relates to the background of Amir?
Well, we were escaping the war in Lebanon at the time, so my house was bombed.
Really?
So
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
so we had to leave there, and we migrated to Australia. We moved here, as you said, when I was 3, and I got put straight into school because my birth certificate was destroyed in the war. So
really?
we said I was 5, and I just had to watch my mum and dad trying to reimagine themselves and put us in a safe place and rebuild their lives that they want, and just ensure that we were safe. And I think I saw a lot of parallels with my dad and Amir, definitely in a drive for wanting a safe existence for his family.
Well, you had personal experience of some of these situations. Was there a kind of someone in informing the production from a political point of view, or they're on set to sort of explain how things are or were?
Look, I think they did the range of research, but on set for me, the most influential people were, and when you get to these episodes with the detention centre, all of our extras who were magnificent in this show had at one stage experienced a detention onshore or offshore in Australia and in other countries, and just the amount of space in their hearts and the stories they have to tell. I saw it as my personal goal for this series to be a representative for their stories, and there isn't a scene I finished on set where someone didn't come up to me and say, I saw this happen in real life. This is my, and would tell me their stories. So, it's so close to me, this story, because of experiences like that and knowing how much it means for people that have put themselves in danger and their families in danger. I just really hope, people get a lot out of it and start those conversations.
I don't have to tell you how bad this looks. You've got to shut this down.
You found you. Now, you don't let anyone take that away.